I'm Nick Seco from HomeRight Windows and Doors, and we're located in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. So we do vinyl replacement windows, we do steel and fiberglass entry doors, we do aluminum storm doors, and we do sliding patio doors, all made by Provia. The windows are a vinyl replacement window, and it could be anything from double hungs to casements to bay and bow windows and everything in between. So when somebody calls in the office and needs an estimate, they get Roxanne on the phone typically, and she would schedule an appointment for me to come out and take some measurements, provide some literature, go through what options we have, and then I would follow up within about 24 to 48 hours with an estimate with all the details of the products as well as the installed price. I find that we're typically much more affordable than the companies that you see advertising on TV or in a lot of other places. If they're spending a lot of advertising dollars, obviously they're passing those costs on to their consumers. You could go to our website at homerightwaynesboro.com, or you could call us at 717-749-4874.
Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk TriState with Tiny and Katie.
Welcome back to Let's Talk TriState, all powered by HomeRight Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, online homerightwaynesboro.com. Joining us today, we have our friend James Quinn. He is the owner of the Floo Network out of Hagerstown on Western Maryland Parkway, online, it's thefloonet.com. James, I'm going to get that mixed up so many times, but good to meet you, my friend. Pleasure having you. Well. So I first heard about your business, I think with the Besties.
Okay.
And I thought, well, that is interesting. We've never had a business or client that in my almost 20 years that specializes in what you specialize in, or at the very least advertises it such as you do.
Right.
So take us through your history, how you got into working and maintaining fireplaces and the chimneys.
Okay. Well, I started out getting my experience down in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. The company I worked for down there wasn't a super great company, and it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth about the industry. So I got out of it for a while, moved up here, and started helping out my family with their business. Learned to working with families is kind of tough. Yeah. And then after that, saw the necessity of just simple things like a chimney cap. Mm-hmm. So I started to try to address certain things with that. Licensing is required for just installing a simple chimney cap inside of Washington County. Sure. So we got licensed, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Mm-hmm. And with the way that things happened with that previous company, safety and making sure that we're following everything on the standards in black and white became the main source of what we focus on. That's
quite the journey, and you're right. I mean, working with family can be quite overwhelming. Mm-hmm. Everyone, I think, for a long time thought, oh, you get to work with family, it's great. You get to, go in and see your mom or your dad every day. Not quite, it doesn't always work out that way. But nonetheless, I think it's very important what you do, especially in our area. My personal experience goes to my in-laws. They have a wood stove, which was originally designed to be a fireplace, but it was converted into a wood stove, so it has a chimney attached to it. Okay. And he's always talking about how every couple years someone comes out and maintains the chimney and and we'll go into the process here in a little bit. But you realize when you know someone who has one of those, mm-hmm. how important it is. My wife and I don't have one at our house, mm-hmm. but I would imagine, if you do, you're dealing with fire.
In somebody's home.
Yeah, exactly. Literally in your home, yes. Fire. So that carries with it, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, well, there's some risk there. There's some things that could go wrong, right?
Absolutely.
So take us through what you tell people is so important about maintaining your fireplace, your chimney, and what should folks be looking out for? I know it's not one of those things where you have one, just let it go, it'll do its thing.
Absolutely not. So when you're initially looking at your system, you want to know what kind of system you have. Mm-hmm. For instance, your parents, like you talk about, that's going to be what's called a wood stove insert. A lot of those specifically, especially in like the 70s and the 80s, they became really popular, and they were just slammed inside of the firebox without anything connected to it.
Right.
So one of the biggest things that everyone does know to focus on is making sure that you sweep out your chimney. When you go to sweep out a chimney, one of the biggest things that you're doing and what you're trying to do is remove any combustible material from inside of the chimney.
Okay.
To use the slammers as an example, what would happen is similar to what happens whenever you're smoking meat. The temperature, you're supposed to keep it low and slow is a lot of times what people tell you. So whenever you have that wood stove just pushed into the firebox, as it exhausts, it opens up into a bigger chasm, and that's going to all condense. You get more buildup. That's how chimney fires happen.
Okay.
And just this past year, we had about 15 just in this area alone, I think because of the cold weather that we had. So maintaining it and
Now, when you say
sure-
had 15, you mean
chimney fires.
Oh, chimney fires.
Yes, we pay attention specifically to Washington County fire calls, and they make sure to let people know when it is specifically a chimney fire that's occurred, or at least when it's been called out for a chimney fire. And when we look at certain aspects of chimney fires, that's where insurance gets involved.
Right.
So insurance claims and making sure that the inspection process is handled properly, that's one of the biggest things that we try to explain to customers, is that making sure we know what we're dealing with before we start making assumptions is the biggest case.
Now, I know that everyone who's listening to this or watching would say, if you said, okay, when it comes to fire, it's in your house, the worst case scenario, the most affected is going to be the house would burn down. I'm assuming that is a worst case scenario, but what is primarily affected in a chimney fire that is taken care of quickly enough?
So when you have a chimney fire, what's actually happening is a fire is happening inside of the flue system. Your fire is supposed to be happening inside of the firebox, whether that's the wood stove or whether that's your open wood burning fireplace. So what you have to do is make sure that when you're looking at the situation, what damage could have occurred. And the damages we look at when we're running a camera through the system, we'll be looking at, for thermal cracking, it'll be vertical cracking in the flue tiles. That's damage that'll occur, and that'll start to leach carbon monoxide into the home.
Okay.
Also, almost every chimney, especially if it's been built before 2000, has wood that's butt up against the side of that masonry inside going throughout the home. So if you're having a chimney fire, some of those temperatures can reach 2100 degrees,
Wow.
and that wood is now directly next to this fire that's happening inside of the chimney.
Yeah.
So that's how house fires occur from chimney fires. Chimney fires are really just that contained fire inside of the system.
So from 2000 on, what does code call for now instead of wood right up against the
So what it calls for is it's supposed to have at least 2 inches of airspace clearance throughout your home.
Okay.
And it's very easy to go in and check yourself. It's something that I recommend people do just so that you have that peace of mind to know. And you can just take a ruler, go up and make sure that there's 2 inches of airspace clearance going around that chimney. There's no wood touching it. If there is wood touching it, rather than ripping that whole chimney down and reframing around that, the awesome thing that they created is stainless steel liners. Okay. So the stainless steel liners allow you to get what's called zero clearance chimneys. So now that clearance can be reduced to zero. Whenever we're burning wood or any kind of solid fuel, that liner has to be insulated to achieve that zero clearance.
You are a wealth of knowledge with this.
I'm a nerd.
I love talking to people, and I get to do that daily on Let's Talk TriState, who are passionate about what they do. And I love talking about what other people do for their occupations. I think it's so fascinating to me. And because I think, like you, I'm a nerd. I love learning things. I love knowledge.
Absolutely.
And, the day's going to come where a chimney question is going to come up in a trivia game that I play. And I'm going to look back and I'm going to say, because of my man James from the Floo Network, I got the gift card, right? So solid on you for that, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's actually one of the things that we want to start to do is really reach out more into the community and educate, because certain things like what we're talking about with chimney fires, very, very easily preventable.
But I think too, you have a lot of homeowners who, yes, they're designed better now. They're designed more, I shouldn't say better, but they're designed with more of the safety in mind for fireplaces and the system that as you talked about. But I think what you may have people who go into this wanting a fireplace in their home. Well, this is so great, but they don't realize that there's another step to this, that you need to maintain it, just like occasionally you need to, have someone look at your roof or, whatever.
Absolutely.
But this probably more frequently. Now, do you find, James, that with the newer homes, they need to be maintained less often, or is it more often, or is it about the same as anything else?
It's all determined by the homeowner and how they're using the appliance.
Okay.
So as a general term, whenever we're talking about hearth appliances, that can be a fireplace, it can be a wood stove, pellet stove, anything like that. If you're going through 3-4 cords of wood in a season, you might need to get that swept out more than once in a year. Okay. If that's the case, though, if it's not something that's super difficult, you might be younger and fitter, you can sweep it yourself, and you don't even have to go up on top of the roof anymore.
Okay.
We sweep everything from the bottom unless there's just an absolute requirement to sweep from the top. But with everything that that exists nowadays, it's making it more easy to keep up with the maintenance aspect of things. And there are certain tools that you can use if you are, for say, a wood burner, to make sure that your fuel is good to burn. Seasoned is a relative term. So 15 to 20% is usually a good moisture content range for your content of wood. And if you're over that, then all of that fire has to burn off the moisture before it's able to actually start to burn. Right. So all of that will lower your temperature of your burning, also lowering your flue temperatures. Now you're going to get more buildup. Okay. So those are the types of things that homeowners could do to make sure that, my wood's good, everything else is fine. There are instances where certain things like home pressure can affect that and create problems. But for the most part, if your wood is dry and everything is set up properly as far as the manufacturer's installation instructions, you're not going to have problems.
When we talk about, my mind, as you were describing that, went to smoke detectors.
Yes.
And we're always told when you change the clocks, at least around here, when you change the clocks, change your batteries and your smoke detectors. And that's good advice. But I don't think that there's such an indicator for when you need to sweep out and maintain your system. So my question to you would be, are there telltale signs, are there markers, are there things that homeowners can look for? Because the reason I ask this is, you're right, some people want a warmer house. So they may burn more wood, have a bigger house. They need to burn more. Some may have less. So how do you know that you need to do that? You need to get it done. You may know you need to eventually, but how do you know when eventually's come?
There are certain things that are just going to be, stark in your face. You have back puffing or smoke's coming back in when you're trying to use the appliance. Okay. Other things that you can look for, the industry standard as far as the NFPA 211 is you're supposed to get it at least looked at every year, and that's going to be something that's going to allow you to know, hey, we've got enough accumulation, we need to sweep it out. Gotcha. If you're getting enough accumulation that you're having back puffing within a year, you're going through a whole lot of wood, or there's something wrong with the system. Okay. The manuals for some of the wood stoves, they will give you an indicator. So like, let's say 1/4 of an inch of coating on the flue pipe, that might be an indicator as well. Certain brands will do that with their appliances. Okay. So that would be a way to know. Otherwise, the industry standard that's stated is for every cord of wood, which for some people that seems like a lot. So at least 1 cord to every 2 cords, I would say, would be a good indicator to get it swept out. And then also certain indicators, like I said, if you have back puffing or just something isn't working right, then there might be a clog.
Am I safe in assuming that because you mentioned about insurance claims earlier, is it a safe assumption that, because you mentioned about getting it inspected once a year, are they coming for records for those in a lot of cases?
Certain insurance companies are starting to require that to keep up your policy. Sure. The biggest thing that we find is kind of like with that windstorm that just happened. We have situations where sudden occurrences happen. That is essentially what insurance is responsible for. So whenever we're looking at a big windstorm that just suddenly came through, we had about 3 chimneys that we know of that blew over. Okay. Whether that be there was a big antenna that was attached to it, or a cap caught wind or whatever, those were sudden occurrences. Chimney fires are sudden occurrences. So in those situations, the damages from that and repairing it up to the minimum safety standards are generally what insurance is responsible for.
Gotcha.
It doesn't mean they're not going to fight it.
Sure,
And
of course.
it definitely is the case.
They wouldn't be an insurance company if they didn't, right?
Absolutely.
So what is this now your busy season because we're coming off of the colder months and obviously no one wants to have to get anything serviced and interrupt their warm home. So are we in your busier season?
No, actually.
Okay.
We usually start to see a good taper off around February once the colder months start to go away. We do start to see a bit of an uptick when the rain comes because we get a lot of leaks.
Oh, sure.
So solving problems with that with a proper crown and sealing up with something like Chimney Saver, which is a siloxane application. Those are things that we can be doing, but we get our big repairs, stuff that's going to take, maybe 2 weeks to a month, full chimney repairs. We've got a full stone chimney that we have as an insurance claim where a chimney fire happened.
Gotcha. Okay.
So those types of things where we can't really do it in the winter. Otherwise, we have to tent and heat because you can't really lay brick in the winter. You're not supposed to, at least.
Right. Yeah.
So those are the types of things that we focus on. But we have been looking into opening up towards like an outdoor kitchenette kind of stuff, grills and that kind of thing.
Sure.
We've looked into some brands and we are expanding our showroom floor. So that's going to be something that we're looking into doing. And when we bring on these new brands, one of the things we're going to be doing is monthly classes just to kind of part of that outreach.
Yeah.
And we'll introduce brands. If we get that outdoor stuff, we might do something like a cookout and let everybody see the new things because it's very different than going to Lowe's and Home Depot.
Sure.
I recently was just down at the Hearth Patio and Builders Expo. It's down in Louisiana this year. It's going to be next year as well. And pretty much all of your new big things for the hearth industry and the outdoor cooking industry are going to be there. And seeing a grill where you've got these sear plates on the side, a rotisserie on it, and it's made out of stainless steel, so it's not going to rust. It's going to have last.
Oh, outdoor kitchens and outdoor dining is huge.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm not a fan of eating outside, just in general. But food cooked outside, I love it. Put it on the grill. I love grilled food, love smoked food.
Exactly.
Love all that stuff. So, and you kind of beat me to the punch, but let's just backtrack just a touch. So, tell us where you're located, and you actually have a showroom, as you said, and you said about classes. But where are you located?
So we're located right off of Exit 6. There, it's going to be behind Valentine Electric at 114 Western Maryland Parkway.
And this is off of 81.
Off of 81, correct.
Yep.
And we've got about 400 square feet of showroom space that we're going to be expanding probably to double that size. Yep. And at the showroom, we carry multiple brands, pretty much any kind of fuel source, electric, pellet, wood, and gas. Gas or propane, pretty much all of your appliances like that, they are convertible.
Gotcha.
And we've got, for some of the brands, we just brought on Kuma. We're the only dealer for Kuma in the entire state of Maryland. We also have Regency, some of the electric brands that we carry. We have Modern Flames. Valor is one of our premier brands. They have got radiant heat fireplaces. That's going to be their gas and their propane.
Nice.
So with them, it's something that they have those, and they also have electrics. And their electrics, they are really stepping up their game with that. Maryland, I don't know if everyone knows, they're trying to electrify in a lot of counties. So in new builds, you may not be able to even use any kind of fossil fuel. And in those cases, these electric fireplaces, they're making them look as realistic as possible.
Oh, sure, yeah. We have one in our house that we put down in the basement, and I made sure that I had it. It has the grate that the fake logs sit on, so it's not just a screen. There's a firebox in it, because my wife, and me personally, I would have just put a gas in there. But she's very like, oh no, we can't do that. And I said, hon, it's safe, but I whatever you want to do, whatever helps you to sleep at night. Now, if someone's building a house and they would like to have a fireplace, chimney, all of that in there, is that something that you do as a contracting thing?
Absolutely.
So you would do, I'm building a house and say, you know what, I want to call the Floo Network. I heard about them on Let's Talk TriState, come on out here, and you would then just bid it like anything.
Yeah, and what we do is for a brand new build, There's not really much that I'm inspecting, so we really just charge that inspection fee, and then we will reimburse that inspection fee onto those repairs.
Okay.
But other than that, it's really just something that our inspection fee, we come out, we look over everything to see that's necessary. We just finished up a complete replacement this past week, in which a fireplace. If you've ever been to like the Dan Ryan homes, they've got the fireplaces that are wood framed chimneys. There's big like chase on the outside. So in those situations, what they actually have is high efficiency fireplaces that you can replace those with.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of like a wood stove that you can install into the wall.
Gotcha.
It's meant to be function with the doors closed and then draws fresh air from outside, so you get longer burn times than your open wood burning fireplaces.
Okay, very good.
So in a situation like that, I actually do all of our labor. There is sometimes we sub out a few things, but I like to have my eyes on everything. I'm still young and fit, so I'm taking advantage of that while I can.
So let me ask you this, what is your preference? Because as far as I know, not counting fossil fuel and not counting electric, but just wood burning, are you a fan of open fireplace? Are you a fan of wood stove, or do you like a pellet stove?
I strongly dislike pellet stoves, just because they're finicky. You have electric around heat, and it's also something that if power goes out, you're not going to be able to use it unless you have a generator hooked up to it.
That's fair.
So you're kind of burning a fossil fuel to then burn wood. Whereas your open wood burning fireplace and your wood stoves, you're going to get the most renewable resource that we have, that's a fuel. And I just love the old school ambiance of a wood fire. They've created some new products so that open wood burning fireplace feel, you can still get that and get efficiency from it now. Your old school fireplace, basically, if you're sitting in front of the fire, you can feel that fire, it's nice and warm in front of you, and then you feel this cold air behind you. It's because that air is rushing to the fire to fuel the fire. And in these new fireplaces, they call them retrofits, they've taken a design from a very actually old school fireplace. It's called a Rumford. And they've designed the fireboxes so that when we retrofit them, they're designed to be a Rumford. And it actually pushes heat out into the room, and they're almost as efficient as a wood stove. So you get that open wood burning fireplace feel, you can see it and all of that, hear it. And then you still get some efficiency. If you're looking for real efficiency, there's a brand that we're looking to bring on, certain brands like Blaze King. They have wood stoves that have been tested to 40-hour burn times off of one load.
Oh, wow. So
you fill that sucker up and let it burn, and now 30 hours, 40 hours later, now you have to refuel it.
Wow, that's incredible.
So those are the types of things where it kind of depends on what the homeowner's wanting, but for my own personal preference, what I would put in my home would be an open wood burning fireplace.
I'm the same way. I would go straight like that. My wife she grew up with the wood stove, so she would say wood stove, but I'd want it straight open, and I want the Christmas tree fake, of course. I want the nowhere near open flame for the real, the real Christmas trees. All right, well, James, we're going to let you go, man, but thank you so much for joining us. Let's head over the high points here. It's the Floo Network. This is James Quinn. He is the owner. Online, thefloonet.com. You can see that link on your screen there in the bottom left corner. He does inspections. He will take care of you when it comes to replacing. And again, Western Maryland Parkway behind Valentine Electric, 240-707-6524, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else you want to cover before we let you roll?
No, I think that's everything. We're here to help, and if it's got anything to do with a chimney or fireplace, we're the experts. I
firmly agree, and when time comes, I'm going to be there.
Awesome,
right?
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, my friend.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you so much for joining us on Let's Talk Tri-State.
Let's Talk Tri-State. If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.